Okay, so welcome to part 3 of the kind of wealth update course that we're doing for people that have done the Harbour Club but want to have a bit of a deeper dive into the wealth section that we covered. So in the first section we covered all the personal balance sheet, everything measured improves, creating the habits, calculating your expenses and building that core portfolio that covers all of those expenses. In part 2 we talked about the sub portfolios that you can have, in particular using the dividend capture strategy as a way of creating 10% returns on stuff 4 times a year, so 40% return a year on money that you have in that portfolio for deployment. But we also touched on this idea of conviction stocks, and conviction stocks are things that you just believe in, that you think are a really good idea, and that you just pop them in your conviction stocks and try and forget about them, because if you watch it every day and you look at the volatility, it can drive you crazy. But over a 10-year period or a 20-year period, if you look at the performance of something like a Netflix or an Amazon or something that really changed the whole industry, they can have had a really dramatic impact on people's wealth creation. So things to stick in your conviction stocks folder. One of the ideas is to look at agglomeration. Now, agglomeration obviously has the benefit of being fast growth because we're adding companies all the time that increase the earnings per share. It has the benefit of paying a dividend, so it fits with the income strategy that we're trying to achieve with as many investments as we can. And I think it has the potential to be a real game changer. I mean, it's quite plausible that an agglomeration can go to about a 2 billion market cap within 2 years just by acquiring 40 to 50 companies. And we've already shown that we can acquire 15 to 20 companies a year without too much trouble. So I obviously firmly believe in it, but then I would be very biased in that area. But our goal really is to try and get everybody involved in agglomeration, because we believe that if people have exposure to small business as an asset class, that's good for everybody. It's good for them because it's the largest part of the economy, and like I say, it's growing in a profitable, debt-free way, and it's great for the business owners themselves as well, because it's part of this democratizing wealth and creating value for everybody. We want to get as many people interested as possible. We want to get as many people participating as possible. Now, it's all well and good just watching the stock and seeing how it develops over the years and watching the news, but the ideal scenario would be that if it shoots up in value, that you owned it, and if it doesn't shoot up in value, that you didn't own it. So what we want to do, I mean, basically, if you want to buy less than 100,000 shares, then I would suggest you just use something like Interactive Brokers or Saxo or something like that to acquire the shares in MBH. You can just look up the ticker. It's M8H, so number 8, so m8h.gr or .de. And just go on there and start buying up shares. And in fact, as part of a conviction portfolio, that's quite a good way of doing it. You just pick up a few thousand here and there and you build up a bit of a stake over time. However, if you would be interested in the asymmetric risk option and you want to buy more than 100,000 shares, so depending on the share price will depend on how much that 100,000 shares costs. But if you would like to have an asymmetric risk solution, what we can do is a convertible loan. So effectively, you set the price today on what's called the 30-day volume weighted average share price. So that means you get to buy the shares at today's price. But after a 6-month holding period, so you hold the shares for 6 months, you can then choose whether you receive the shares at that original price or whether you receive the cash back instead. So effectively what we're doing is we're putting a floor in the price so that you're protected against any potential downside, but you get to capture all of the upside. And you might ask, well, why do we do that? Well, we do it for a number of reasons. One of them is it creates a connection between smart investors who understand agglomeration and have met us and understand what we're trying to achieve. It gets them involved. It gives you a low risk way of participating, so you can see how it goes. If you make money with us, if you work with us and make some money, you're likely to come back and support us in other ventures and to take part in other agglomerations. And it basically makes sure that we have a nice wide audience of investors who are really engaged around the agglomeration idea and are kind of willing us along to make it successful. So it's a really simple structure. You choose the share price today, you get that locked in, you benefit from the upside, but you're protected against the downside. So it's only available to Harbour Club members. Yeah, let us know if that's something you would be interested in. If you'd like to participate, just drop an email to wayne@harbourclubevents.com and just say you would like to participate in the MBH share offer, and he will do that. Now, here's an extra little bonus if you do support us in this project. If you buy 100,000 shares in MBH or more, we will also do everything in our power to try and help get you on that private banking ladder. So it might not be with Julius Baer, because if you don't meet their criteria, if you meet their criteria, obviously that won't be a problem. But if we can't get you in with Julius Baer, we have lots of relationships with other banks. There's lots of banks that want to do us favors or work with us or help us out. We will introduce you to an intermediary who will basically will do our best to try and support your valuation of your assets and your application to the bank. Now, obviously, if you've been disqualified as a director, or you've gone bankrupt, or you've got some criminal record or something like that, that might preclude you from getting one of these private banking relationships anyway. So we can't guarantee that we can get you the private banking relationship, but you will have our office on your side, basically pushing through that application. And as I've said all the way through this wealth course, when you get on that private banking ladder, that's really when everything starts to snowball and starts to change, because even if you're on there with 100,000 MBH shares sitting in your account, which might not be a game changer, the next $10,000 that you make, when you invest that into that private banking account, you're able to go and deploy that into maybe $30,000 or $40,000 worth of things that generating this very high return that we've been talking about throughout this course. So getting on that private banking ladder we see as being really key. If you're an MBH participant, we will help you along that journey to try and get you that account in as efficient and quick a way as possible to deposit those shares into when they're delivered. So if you think this is something that would be interesting to you, downside is covered, upside is all yours, and potential to get on that private banking ladder that little bit sooner, just reach out to Wayne, W-A-Y-N-E, at harbourclubevents.com. Remember, it's the UK spelling of Harbour, not the American spelling, so it's H-A-R-B-O-U-R, harbourclubevents.com. Ping Wayne a message and he will get you the documentations and things that you need to get that set up and running. So yeah, hopefully you find that interesting. This can be one of those little pots that sits outside of your core portfolio, or it could be a way to get you into the private banking space to enable you then to build your wealth from inside that infrastructure. So if that's something that's of interest, do let me know. And I hope you found this kind of elaboration of all of the wealth stuff interesting, and it's given you some food for thought. And do let us know if you have any questions or queries on it. We'd be more than happy to answer those. Thank you very much.